Well, last segment we heard from State Representative LaShawn Ford about what he sees are going to be some of the things that the state legislature tackles. Now let's get the Republican perspective here on the WMAY Morning News Feed. I'm Greg Bishop, joined now by Shelbyville Republican State Representative Brad Halbrook. Representative, thanks for taking time with us this morning. Wanted to start with what we just heard there, an advertisement for the Grain Belt Express. And I've had people send me emails asking to delve a little bit deeper into this. Is this associated with what passed the legislature over the summer with the expansive energy policies that ultimately is going to lead to coal plants shutting down by 2035 or 2040? And how does this particular Grain Belt Express impact some farmland throughout Illinois?
Yeah, well, great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the invitation. It's always great to be here and speak to your listeners. So, yeah, the Grain Belt Express line was part of the energy package that passed last year. It spells out specifically, I believe it's 9 counties from the western side of the state through our district here, through Shelby County, all the way to the eastern side of the state. Spells out these counties for the first time, or I should say, for the first time, the state of Illinois has granted a private company eminent domain over private property. And I think this is unprecedented ever before. We've never seen this before. And so it's quite disturbing.
So what does that mean, though, for those farmers that this might impact? Does that mean they're just going to be out of some property? Are they going to be justly compensated for that?
Well, that's the question, right? And it's probably going to be a legal battle without a doubt. And I think that's where this is ultimately headed, is it's going to be a legal battle, and it's going to cost our property owners, whether it's farmers or whomever, it's going to cost them time and money that shouldn't have to happen. But the alternative energy craze, if you will, is in full throttle. The new Green Deal has hit Illinois, and this is just one of the implications of the new Green Deal that hit Illinois. It is going to cost our property owners tons of cash to try to avoid the situation. And I don't know where this is ultimately going to land.
State Representative Brad Halbrook with us on the WMAY Morning News Feed, so I appreciate you chiming in on that. But let's talk about the state legislature coming back. You got April 8th is the adjournment date. As somebody in the minority Republican Party, what do you anticipate happening with this truncated session?
Yeah, so I'm hoping that they deal with this awful crime bill that was passed just over a year ago and repeal and claw back some of those provisions that are driving people out of law enforcement across the state, not just only in Central Illinois, but we've had a ton of sheriffs resign, police chiefs leaving, others in law enforcement are leaving just because of these really harmful policies that were enacted back in January of 2021. And so I hope they deal with that, pull some of that back, but I think just the opposite is going to be true. I think we're seeing that there's a bill to pull back qualified immunity that's in committee this week, things like that. Hopefully they're going to deal with some of these budget issues. You know, the governor and the comptroller's been waving the victory flag, the checkered flag, that, hey, we have solved the financial problems of this state. But there's no financial wizardry on their part. There's been tens of billions of dollars from the feds that have flowed into the state that has put them on this solid ground. And this is temporary. When these dollars go away, we're going to have some real issues to deal with in the state when it comes to the finances.
But Representative, the governor said time and again that it is their budgeting, and he downplays any notion that the federal funds, which from some estimates are across all sectors, public and private, the state got $160 billion from federal taxpayers, again, across all sectors, public and private, and billions of that for the state coffers. How can he say that federal tax dollars don't have anything to do with this?
Yeah, well, and that's a good question. I guess it's just, primary season, general election season. That's all a part of it. Those are the things that folks are going to say this time of the year. But again, with $160 billion flowed in from federal sources, from taxpayers all across the nation, have flowed into this state. man, it'd be easy to say and to balance the books when somebody's pouring cash in from outside.
And again,
I
that's
just
that's
think it's
that's funds
disingenuous.
for that's funds for rental assistance, funds for schools, funds for businesses through the Paycheck Protection Program, funds for local governments, funds for state government, and so on. But that's a lot of money. Representative Brad Halbrook with us. How can we reverse the trend of population loss that we see here in Illinois? Democrats seem to just say put more money towards higher education. Have we not already done that in the past 10 years, or what's the case when it comes to how we exactly reverse that trend of outbound migration?
Right. Well, first of all, I thought we had poured tons of money into all levels of education. I heard your former guest moments ago talked about that very matter. I think that when it comes to our higher education facilities in the state, we're in the top thresholds when it comes to funding. Okay. I mean, it's just how much is enough? And it's like, okay, I think it's some of these harmful policies like the Safety Act, the property tax issue, the list goes on and on and on. We've got to change and reverse some of these policies that are driving people to these other lower no tax states. And I know that, well, it's just the weather's nicer there. Well, the weather is nicer, but people like Illinois and they want to be here. They have families here. They've been here for generations. But, it ultimately becomes enough for them, and they will bolt and leave the state of Illinois. They just said, look, I don't see any future change. I don't see any hope. One party stays in control, and they continue to double down on these harmful, bad policies. And so they just look for a new zip code.
State Representative Brad Halbrook, Republican from Shelbyville. One last thing here. Do you anticipate Democrats to try to address at all the governor's COVID-19 mitigations and the now nearly 2 years of managing the pandemic through executive orders?
Yeah, as much as I would like to think they will, I don't see that happening. I think they like the governor making these decisions all by himself. And, it's just really kind of disingenuous to say, hey, these policies have worked for the state of Illinois to have this happen. I don't believe that to be the case. Hopefully they will pick up some issues. 2 weeks to flatten the curve has turned into 2 years of tyranny.
State Representative Brad Halbrook, appreciate you taking the time with us this morning. We'll see you at the Capitol, and it's going to be every week from now until April 8th, and it'll, I'm sure, be some high-flying action. So appreciate you taking the time with us this morning.
Thank you so much.